Thank you so much, Natis. Thank you so much to the folks that came tonight. You span generations for me. There are people here who've been with me virtually since I came to Atlanta in 1990, who have seen me through many times, and I can promise you the last one who's worked with me, Bill Overall, thank you for coming from PBS and GPB. He's got it easy. The other ones had it hard, because I learned by working with them. It does take a village to create great television. We all know that. I'm trying to think of, every time I'd introduce myself and I would say I was the executive vice president of CNN, people would look at me cross-eyed like, how can a 5'4" small woman be the executive vice president of CNN? And I thought tonight, it made me think about that. And it made me think to one moment in my career in Los Angeles. Forgive me, I am from LA. I've been here 28 years. I expected to be here 6 months. And I was asked to do a report on a new program that was being enacted about prison reform. This is long ago, same story, right? Over and over again. And I was sent to San Quentin. And my crew and I were in San Quentin, not an unscary place for a 23-year-old. And as we were walking through the main part of the prison, all these sirens went off. Screaming, sirens, people are running everywhere. And I got hustled by the guy that was working us, taking us around the prison. And I said, what the heck? You know, I'm scared. This is a scary place, San Quentin. And he said, somebody has been stabbed in the woodworking shop. And I'm thinking, who the hell gives these guys things you're going to stab people with? And about a moment later, he says to me, lady, you got two choices. You can leave the prison or you can go into lockdown with everybody else. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm a young reporter and I can't come home without the story. How many times have you all felt that? So I said, lockdown. And he told my photographer to take his camera off his shoulder, and I leaned over to him and I said, put it on your hip and keep shooting. And he did. And we went into lockdown for 6 hours and I got my interview. I walked out of there with my interview. And maybe that's the story of so much in my life. I walked out with the interview. I think that we can almost do anything, and all of us understand this in this room. You can do almost anything in life if you're looking through the lens. Everything is possible. Because when you're looking through the lens, and I mean that metaphorically and literally at times, it seems like everything is possible because we're reporters, we're journalists. We can do this. I was very lucky to expand my career into many different forms. I have two folks here who were with me through those Talkback Live years at CNN. They have both gone on to be leaders at CNN, and I'm proud of them, Mary Lynn Ryan and Stephanie Todd. Thank you for coming. They are incredible leaders at CNN now. They came to me very young, and so I'm proud. I'm old, they're still young. But it also takes, as I said, a village. So I'm thankful to Meg Samuels and her husband Rick for being here. Because when I first started to work at GPB, my daughter was young. She was maybe 5, 6. And I was working really hard. And it was Rick and Meg that helped me get my kid to school. So thank you for being a village for me. Don Smith, you're a Golden Circle Award winner, and you're cranky as all get out. And you have been forever. This is a man who's worked with me since 1992, and he had the gall to roast me at my wedding. And Sharon Collins, is a Silver Award winner. Many of you know her. We've known each other for years. And I admire Sharon because she had one chance to nail a stand-up at the Rio Summit. We were filming a documentary because, of course, Ted wanted us to do a documentary on the Rio Summit on environment. Feels like ages ago. But there was this one moment when all the Brazilian Indians were coming out with their headdresses, and it wasn't live, but she had one moment. They weren't going to walk out again, and she nailed it. And for that, thank you, because you've nailed it every time since, so thank you very much. I came to Atlanta in 1990, and I didn't know anyone. A friend of mine had moved here to do a show, not at CNN, but sort of associated with CNN. I knew no one here, but I did know they had good tennis. So I came, and I thought I could play tennis for 6 months. And I got the show I was doing, Ted Turner was associated with it, and it was going to fail. And Ted walked in one day when Ted was still wearing black boots, and being Ted, so Ted, I'm taking over this show. It's coming into my company. And I'm like, okay, I'm going back to LA. And this friend of mine who was producing the show dragged me down to CNN. I was wearing also cowboy boots and torn jeans and a t-shirt. I never did that again, ever, at CNN. But we walked in, and there were a group of executives at CNN who said they knew how to do this show. And I had been very lucky because I'd worked on a magazine show. How many of you remember when magazine shows first started? ENG cameras, we take them for granted now. They were brand new, and we were suddenly untethered from the studio. And they were all trying to figure out how to do this show Ted wanted. It was a magazine show about environmental issues. And I stood up and I listened to them for a while, and I stood up and I said, I don't think any of you have any idea how to do a magazine show. They'd all been live news guys. And they looked at me, and I suddenly felt, oh, precious, you have done it now. You are going home on the next airplane. And I did. And I got a call a week after I got back and said, do you want to come back and be the senior producer of that show? And I never left. So the one thing to remember is that take the chance. We've all taken the chance, and it worked out so beautifully for me. I'm proud of where I've come. I'm proud of this city, and I'm so proud that Natus offered me this award. Thank you so much.